In early 2026, the official story sounds remarkably reassuring. If you listen to the press briefings, AI development is finally being wrestled under federal control, and inflation is gliding safely back to a normal baseline. The White House has laid out a comprehensive framework to unify AI standards nationwide, while the Federal Reserve's official projections suggest that interest rate cuts are scheduled for later this year. These public claims are deliberate noise. They are institutional narratives designed to manage perception, and they are currently obscuring a much harsher mathematical reality. Operating a business or a portfolio based on these projections creates a massive structural vulnerability. We need to separate the official narrative from the actual conditions on the ground. The public price is an artificial signal, an institutional claim meant to govern how people feel. To see what's coming, you have to evict that signal from your mind entirely. In its place, we observe the private price. This is the structural truth found in where capital is actually positioned and how human behavior operates at scale when the incentives are clear. For the rest of this analysis, we will ignore what institutions say. We are going to observe the math of what is actually happening. Consider the push for federal AI regulation. While the executive branch issues frameworks and urgent recommendations, Congress has twice declined to codify those rules. The legislative channel is effectively blocked. This chart shows the resulting decoupling. While the public narrative places the probability of federal AI consolidation near 35%, the prediction markets, where traders have actual money at stake, price that same outcome at just 22%. Because the legislative path failed, the federal executive is now forced to route its authority through litigation. They've launched a task force to challenge state laws in court, essentially trying to sue a federal standard into existence. This has left a massive gap. In the absence of a federal law, AI deployment is accelerating violently at the state level, creating different rules in California, new regulations in Colorado, and laws in Nevada. Capital views this regulatory gridlock as a growth asset. Firms are expanding their AI operations into the vacuum while the government remains trapped in the courts. We see the same decoupling in the macroeconomy. There is a widening gap between the Federal Reserve's projected interest rate path and the reality reflected in the order books. This comparison highlights the friction. The Fed's dot plot still suggests a median of one rate cut this year. However, prediction markets show a 39% probability of zero cuts, with capital bracing for inflation to stay stuck at 3.5%. Beneath these numbers, household balance sheets are showing signs of stress. U.S. household debt has climbed to $18.8 trillion, and the delinquency rate for lower prime borrowers has hit 4.8%, the widest gap we've seen in 16 years. The market is pricing in a reality where inflation persists and vulnerable households continue to fracture, regardless of the Fed's official optimism. To understand how capital interacts with regulation on a microscopic level, we look at the automated systems currently managing American healthcare. Data from United Healthcare shows AI's impact on medical determinations. In 2 years, automation scaled the denial rate from 10 to over 22%. Patients who appeal win 82% of the time, but the system is stable because 99.8% never contest. These algorithms treat the medical necessity determination as a tunable cost variable, mathematically optimized to exploit the high probability of human inaction. Every time the market correctly prices a regulatory failure, it reinforces a shift in authority. We can see it in the tens of millions of dollars flowing into prediction markets. Capital is moving to where the information is most accurate, effectively bypassing the slower legislative process. This decoupling cannot continue indefinitely. We are now approaching a specific window of resolution where the market's position and the public narrative will be forced into reconciliation. This 15-day window contains 3 critical events: the FOMC rate decision on April 28th, the Fourth Circuit hearing on prediction markets on May 7th, and the release of the latest inflation data on May 12th. These dates are the forcing events where the official narrative and the market's position must finally resolve. When the data hits the tape, the gap between the policy claim and the market price will close. To navigate this window, you have to execute a complete substitution. You must anchor your decisions to capital realities rather than institutional narratives. Look at the order books, follow the prediction markets. Use the structural data to find the path forward, because the official policy frameworks no longer reflect the actual movement of money. The noise is chaotic, but the math is absolute. When this audio ends, ignore the words, watch the math.